Hi everyone, welcome to Data Legos. I'm Naveen Kumar Gunapanini, and here you'll find deployment concepts explained in the simplest way possible. Today we are going to learn about understanding components of our stack. My goal is to make every topic easy to understand, so you feel confident applying it in the real world. Let's get started. Welcome to Understanding Components of Our Stack, Part 1. Today, we start with application components to deploy. In our stack, Vennela means basic. So when you hear Vennela UI or Vennela API, think of the basic building blocks. There are three main components. UI, Vennela UI. This is what users see and click. API, Python Vennela. This is the brain that talks between the UI and the database. Database, Postgres, MySQL, or Neo4j. This is where data actually lives. In this video, I'll explain how these three pieces fit together and what each one does during a real request. By the end, you'll know exactly why we must deploy all three correctly for the app to work. In the next video, we'll move to dependencies and configurations, the settings that make these components actually run. Let's begin with Part 1. Let's talk about application components to deploy. These components are the main building blocks of any software system. Each one plays a special role, just like in a restaurant. First, the user interface, or UI, in our stack, we call it Vennela. The UI is the front end, what users directly see and interact with. Think of it like the menu card and dining area in a restaurant. For example, in a food delivery app, the UI is the screen where you click Order Pizza, Pay Now, or track your delivery. In our stack, the Vennela UI is the website or the front end. Next, the API in our stack, this is the Python Vennela API. The API is the middle layer that acts as a messenger between the UI and the database. Think of it like the waiter in a restaurant, who takes your order to the kitchen and brings back the response. For example, when you click Order Pizza on the UI, the API checks if the pizza is available, processes your order, and sends back a confirmation. In our stack, this API is written in Python and works as the backend. Finally, the database in our stack, this can be Postgres, MySQL, or Neo4j. The database is the storage system, where all data actually lives. It acts like the kitchen in a restaurant, where the food is prepared. Postgres and MySQL are used for structured data, such as users, orders, and payments. Neo4j is used for graph data, like friend networks or recommendations. For example, the pizza menu, customer details, and order history are all stored in the database. End-to-end flow explained in restaurant analogy. UI to API. A user clicks Show me Pizza's Pizza on the app. This is just like a customer asking the waiter for the menu. API to database. The API then goes to the database and asks, what pizzas do we have? This is like the waiter walking into the kitchen and asking the chef what dishes are available. Database back to API. The database sends the list of pizzas, maybe margarita, paneer, or corn. This is just like the kitchen preparing a response, here are today's dishes. API to UI. Finally, the API delivers the list back to the UI. Just like the waiter bringing the menu or food back to the customer. And that's the complete end-to-end flow. UI API database API UI. Every piece plays a role, just like in a restaurant. Direct hit, but here's the key point for deployment. All three parts, UI, API, and database, must be deployed correctly for the system to work. If the UI is missing, users can't place orders. If the API is down, there's no communication. And if the database fails, nothing can be stored or retrieved. So remember, deployment is like running a restaurant. If even one part shuts down, the whole experience breaks. Thanks for joining me in this session. We saw how applications run with three main parts, the UI, API, and database working together like a restaurant with customers, waiters, and a kitchen. That was Part 1. Next, in Part 2, we'll look at dependencies and configurations, things like environment variables, secrets, and ports. Don't worry, I'll keep it simple with real-life examples. Let's move on.